Welcome, welcome, my noble artist and talented troupe of theater trolls. This is your host, Dawn Westbrook, and let me say I have missed you. But the good news is, ACT is back. And while many things might have changed since season 1, a lot of things have remained the same. For instance, I'm sitting right here with my glass of wine. And for the next few minutes, I hope you'll join me with a glass of something, because we're going to be talking with some of the best in the business as we focus on the craft of acting, the art of directing, and just embracing the process of this crazy career in the theater and entertainment world. I've got some amazing interviews lined up for you in the coming weeks, and this week is no exception. But first, this season's podcasts are being brought to you by both the Martha Hill Newell Playwrights Fund, whose commitment is to both local and national playwrights and holds the belief that the relevance and vitality of American theater depends on the continual infusion of new works, and Book Cliff Vineyards, whose wines are 100% crafted right here in the beautiful state of Colorado and are always something worth sharing.
I go to Stop and Shop sometimes, but I prefer ShopRite because they got the small ocean sprays. I can get a 6-pack of the small ocean sprays. I don't have to get the big jug. I'm all by myself, Paul. I don't have to go. You go to Stop and Shop, you get this giant jug of, I could have 3 UTIs. I wouldn't need that much goddamn cranberry juice. So usually I go to ShopRite, but sometimes I go to Stop and Shop, and your sister says, hey, Ma, if you're going to Stop and Shop, do me a favor. Tell them you forgot your little fob. You know those little fobs? You know, with the barcode on them that they scan for your account or whatever. I got like 70 of them on my goddamn keychain. And your sister goes, tell them you forgot your fob. And when they ask for your points account or whatever, give them my phone number, because Stop and Shop is giving away a free frozen turkey if you get a certain number of points. I'm like 15 points shy. So all you got to do is to give them my phone number and I'll get the free frozen turkey. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I got to jump through hoops for a goddamn free frozen turkey. Anyway, I go to Stop and Shop. I do my shopping. I get all the way up to the checkout. I totally forget about telling them I forgot my fob until the very last moment. So here I am. I'm like palming my 70 barcode fobs like Kreskin with arthritis. And the lady goes, you got your little fob thing? And I'm like, no, I don't. I forgot it. Let me give you my phone number. And then I realized I don't remember your sister's goddamn phone number. It's in my phone. So I said, hang on, I got to look up my phone number. So I look like a crazy person to these other people online at Stop and Shop, like the crazy old lady who's got to look up her own goddamn phone number. They're starting to get pissed because it's taken a little long, and they're about to get much more pissed because I haven't even started writing my check yet. You know, so anyway, I give her Carrie's phone number. She enters the phone number wrong. I got to do it again. They're getting more pissed. I write out my check. I give it to her. And this goddamn bitch who's checking me out says to me, the name on this check doesn't match the name from the phone number that you gave me for the points account. Now you got to go talk to customer service. So I'm walking to customer service like I'm walking the goddamn Green Mile. And all I can think is, Jesus Christ, I'm going to get a goddamn body cavity search so your sister can get a goddamn free frozen turkey.
Okay, so what we just listened to is the hysterical Paul Stroili in Conversations with My Mother during a pandemic. That was day 2, and it's titled, I Can't Go Back to the, what is it?
Was it ShopRite?
Yeah, what is it? Stop and Shop.
I can't go back to Stop and Shop since the incident. Yeah.
Right, so say it like her. Say it like how we just heard it.
I can't go back to Stop and Shop since the incident.
Incident. And now what the incident was. I can't read my own writing, that's why.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Initially, when she started to hear when I told her I was doing it, she I don't know if people are going to find this funny. And then, like, when it took off, she became like Charlotte B. DeMille. She's like, what would be funnier? If, you could be, could put more of a spin on that one. It'd be a lot funny if you just did. And all of a sudden she's friggin' directing me,
Directing you.
But God love her, man. I have poked fun at my mother for years, and she's just got a great spirit about it. And she's ridiculously funny. herself. I mean, she's just it's where I get my sense of humor. She's a Bronx. It's a politically incorrect term, but she's a Bronx broad from way back, you
Is
know.
that broad? You can't say that?
Well, I don't know. It depends who you're talking to, I guess. If you're
Yeah, for
talking to
me,
another Bronx broad, I imagine it's okay.
I had my best friend who passed away. She said, if you don't call me a broad or a dame, I'm going to be really
Yeah.
pissed. She died at like 84. And she was like, you better call me a broad. She was a New Yorker too. But is that where you're from? The Bronx?
No, my mom's from the Bronx, and my dad's from Italy. My dad immigrated here when he was 19, and she's from the Bronx. But I grew up in Connecticut. Spent a ton of time in the Bronx growing up because almost like practically every weekend, with no exaggeration, we went to the Bronx to see my grandparents. So that's when I sort of realized that I was sort of a city kid trapped in a country kid's body because we got to the Bronx and I was like, these are my people. This is where I like to be. And not that I didn't love the town I grew up in, Ridgefield, Connecticut, beautiful town, like a Norman Rockwell,
Oh,
Currier and Ives plate type of town.
yeah.
But, you get a little stir crazy when turn 17, 18, 19, and you want to, see the ocean. So that's where I sort of wound up. But I go back there as often as I can and just love it there.
Yeah, well, I bet you do. I lived in New York for quite a few years, in the late 1980s, early 90s, but I grew up in Sandston, Virginia, so I'm a Southern girl. I'm a steel magnolia. Now, here we go. You have so many things that I want to discuss because you are an amazing playwright, and that is, you and I've actually never even talked face to face. This is the first time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
You
became
said very kind words about a jukebox for the Algonquin at Miners Alley, Performing Arts Center, and so you became.
I became no, what I became was a groupie. I became a major groupie. But so we're going to talk about you as a playwright, okay? And then we're going to talk about you, and you've got a lot of things going on in that direction. And then you're at a pretty cool place right now, working with somebody
Yeah.
pretty cool. So we're going to talk about that. And then I want to move into the acting because you really struck me as an actor, and I thought, I know I've seen him on TV. And it was just really cool to read the program in intermission and realize, oh my God, he's not just this great actor. He wrote this thing. And I've worked on a lot of new plays in my time, and I just was so enamored by how wonderful this new play was. And I liked Lynn's direction. I thought the direction was great. So we'll get into you about that. And then you also have another side hustle that you do. And then you also direct. But the first thing that I need to ask you is a very important question. You cannot do an interview without having a little drink, says Graham Norton. So, and Dawn Westbrook. So, what are you drinking tonight with us?
Right now, I am drinking. I'm having a Campari and soda, and it is by design because I don't know if I told you this, but about 4 years ago, I lost my smell and taste to COVID, and it never came back. Um,
Ooh,
and being an Italian who likes to eat and cook, it was kind of a hard blow. So what I found, I actually call this the COVID-tini because the I don't have taste or smell, but I have mouthfeel. I like my mouth senses, like there's nothing wrong with my taste buds. There's just no flavor attached to it. So
right.
I can
Citrus,
sense sweet, I can sense
acid.
sour, I can sense acid, umami, bitter. So Campari is good because Campari's got that real bitter finish to it. So I get a little tingle out of that. That's all I can get anymore. Texture and like those real extreme flavors. So that's why Campari hold, so
Oh, I am really sorry that you that lasted for you. I got COVID in December of 2020. It was before the vaccine, and I woke up and my dog was laying beside me, and I knew I didn't feel very well, but she had horrible breath, and I looked over and went, "Oh God, I don't smell her breath. I need to go downstairs." And I made myself a cup of coffee, and the coffee tasted like vinegar. It was just,
mhm.
and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh God." And then I tried to eat something and I couldn't taste it. And
Yeah.
then I was like, oh God, this is bad. And then I went up to put on some perfume and I couldn't smell the perfume. So knew I had lost taste and smell. It only lasted like 4 days for me. So all I could do was get like crunch from potato chips. You'd think it'd be
Yeah.
a diet plan. I did not lose a single pound because I was eating things like I had made this really wonderful cardamom, pecan, biscotti, cinnamon, nutmeg. I ate a lot of that, and ice water was good because I got the free, like what you were saying, you get like that hot, cold, acid. So I would just drink a lot of ice water, chips. I like to crunch, but mine did
Yeah.
come back after a couple days. So
It's funny. The first question everyone has is, oh, you must be losing weight because, this, that, and the other thing. It's like, you actually eat worse because you have no taste and it's all about texture. You're eating a lot of chips. You're eating a lot of fried food. You're eating things that have crunch to them, So, like people are like, what really gets to you? What's really unpleasant? And you wouldn't know, but things like something as simple and innocuous as a quesadilla, it's disgusting. When you have no smell or taste, the consistency of a quesadilla is just nauseating because there's no flavor.
Right.
So it's really interesting how that sort of, alters your perception.
I'm really sorry that you were left with that. And I don't know. I was left with COVID eye, and tomorrow I have an eye doctor appointment. I need to get some eye surgery. So I also have, delayed COVID reaction too.
There's a lot of long COVID folks out there. I'm sorry you're going through that.
Well, okay. So here's my little lovely glass.
Yeah.
I haven't poured yet. So let's listen. I am going to be drinking tonight Boulder Star from Bookcliff Vineyard.
Okay.
Beautiful bottle. I love the artwork on the bottle. You can see
it's a beautiful presentation. Yeah.
It is a really beautiful presentation. And let's see here. Okay, what they say about it, I'm going to read what they say about it. And they always say their wines are something worth sharing. So they say that their intention behind this wine in 2023, the Boulder Star, was to showcase the abundant fruit and the bright acidity that's natural to the grapes, specifically grown here in Colorado. The wine is spent only 8 months in the aging from primary fermentation until bottling. Half of the final wine was barrel aged in natural French oak barrel. That's my favorite because I always say I like an oaky with lots of tannin, so I always ask for that. So I'm probably going to like it. And then the other half was aged in stainless steel. Interesting. So let's see okay, let me see. There we go. I've swirled it. Okay, let's see what I think. Ooh, me likey. me likey this one. This would go really well with my Thanksgiving meal.
Okay. Is it a meal wine?
It's really good on the palate. It's light. It would go well with a Thanksgiving meal. It's fresh and lively. It's got kind of like a medium acidity. And you can really taste not the grape, but more of a kind of a blackberry. Mm. Oh my goodness.
Well, it's got to be very bright. You said it's young. It's only 8 months. It's only 8 months of aging. Yeah.
It's almost kind of like is it Beaujolais? Is that what it is? Or Bordeaux?
I don't know which of the younger ones are.
Yeah, Bordeaux is one that's not really aged very long. But yeah, that's really good. Bookcliff, nicely done. So you guys, if you live locally, you can buy it at Hazel's, or you can get it at local restaurants if you go in here in Colorado. If you do not live in Colorado, feel free to go to their website at www.bookcliffvineyards.com. And I do believe that at the end of this, Paul has picked a wine of his choosing, and we will ask him what that is at the end. But for right now, let's get down to some business, some theater. Let's talk about some things. All right. So first of all, I want to talk about you as a playwright. I know you're at a pretty exciting point, and I went down, this has been my year to network, and because I'm new to the area, right? So I'm trying to see as much theater as I possibly can, meet as many directors, artistic directors, actors, people, just meet my new peeps, right? At age 60, that's kind of hard to do. But I immediately loved you, and I loved your writing. So I came home and immediately got into bed with my iPad. I emailed everybody and have become pretty pretty good friends with John Hauser. And so I emailed all of you, and you were very nice to, email me back or direct message me back. But it was Miner's Alley. I was really impressed. I told Lynn I loved the kind of three-quarter thrust. I loved his blocking. I loved the way the set looked. And I just looked at the program at intermission and went, oh my God, he's so good, but he also wrote this. I told my friend that was with me. And so I believe next year you said it's going to be produced 4 times next year. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the play, A Jukebox for the Algonquin. It got a world premiere here where I'm working now at the Purple Rose Theater, which is a theater founded by Jeff Daniels here in Chelsea, Michigan, which is about 100 feet from me now. I'm in the little actor carriage house that's behind the theater here. And they did the Jukebox for the Algonquin here in 2023. And it was a big hit and very successful. I had done 5 shows here as an actor, and I sort of had a front row seat to the process of watching them create new work. This theater is almost exclusively about new work. I think in the past 32 years, I think more than 70% of the plays they've done have been world premieres. It's all about creating new work here. Jeff Daniels is very sort of insistent on creating new work and also honoring sharing the work of Michigan playwrights and Midwestern playwrights and people from the area. So because I had done the plays here, I as an actor, I presented the play, as an offering for them to produce, and I was lucky enough to have them choose it, and went real well. And then Len Matheo, who is the producing artistic director of Miners Alley there in Golden, he and I went to college together, and we stayed in touch over the years. And I told him that the play had happened here, and I knew he had the theater out there, and I knew there was the big move because they bought the Meyer Hardware place and moved from their one location to the much larger location.
And they have a great space.
It's gorgeous, and it's the classic example of if you build it, they will come, because they really put so much behind it, and people have actually supported it and all that. So, long story short, too late, he came to see the show and said this would be perfect. So the third production ever, there was the production at the Purple Rose, and then there was a production by a community theater out here, the Farmington Players in Farmington Hills, Michigan, just only about an hour north of Chelsea, where I am now. And then Len produced it at Valley, and it was a big hit there, very successful. And then we have 4 more, might be 5 now. I'm not sure. We've got some contracts floating around there, but there's at least 4 productions set for 2025. One of which I'm directing at a wonderful theater in Kalamazoo, where I've done work before. I have to be careful people don't get confused. There's Miners Alley in Golden, Colorado, but Farmers Alley is the theater in Kalamazoo, Michigan. They do incredible work there. Just such a great team at Farmers Alley in Kalamazoo. They saw the production at Purple Rose, and they wanted to do it. So I'll be directing that one in April of 2025. So it's very exciting. Just to have this many productions happening with the play not published yet, not in any catalogs, all by word of mouth, is really more than I could have hoped for.
Yeah, and you can find, your plays. Your website is fantastic, and you've got it very easily laid out, and you can find out how to get in contact with you for any of your plays. You have other plays as well. It's interesting about Jeff Daniels. I'm going to back up because there are 2 stories about him. One is that I'm watching him right now in a miniseries. I was getting my Master's of Science in Healthcare Interpreting in 2017, but he did a miniseries, a limited series called Godless. Did you ever see it?
Oh yeah. Oh
Holy
God, this
shit.
was astonishing. Yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit.
I believe he won an Emmy for it. I believe he won an Emmy for
I
it.
think
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
did. I think he did.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable. And my husband said, I think it's only 4 episodes, and we were watching for it. There's no way. They can't tie this up in 4. There's no way. And so I looked up and went, there 8. So we're going to watch 5 tonight when we get off the phone. But I also had a friend who's friends with like his mother, his family. And when he went on tour with Mockingbird, right? How to Kill a Mockingbird.
I don't think he did the tour. I know he did the
He did
Broadway run,
the
but I don't
Broadway
think he
version.
toured.
Right,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
did the Broadway
yeah.
version. And yeah, because Richard Thomas is doing the tour, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
That he was just amazing in that, and she went to go see him in that with the friend of the mother or something. And but I just saw, and then I just happened to see him on Kelly Clarkson. I don't really watch her show, but oh my God, the song with the guitar, and she.
Oh yeah, when my fingers find your strings. I think that was, yeah. People don't realize what an accomplished musician he is. His son Ben is also a brilliant musician, and that is very, very close to us a couple of times. And he has over his garage. He has a full studio and all his guitars displayed, a little recording studio and everything. And no, music is a tremendous.
He kind of kept that hidden. And I love that he's kind of tucked away in Michigan. I love that Tom Holt started a theater, company. And I know that he's started I think he's out in Seattle or up in the Pacific Northwest. But I love that. Now he's from Michigan, is he not? Isn't his family in Michigan?
Oh, the town of Chelsea. His mother was on the Board of Education here. His father owned the lumber yard. His brother owns the Chelsea Lumber now. So he very much born and raised Michigander. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. But I've seen him in that, and then I heard him sing, and I was like, oh my God. So yeah, so the show you're doing right now, acting in, we're going to jump from playwriting into acting because you're working. He not only wrote it, but he also you're open already, so he directed it. I'm going to say it in past tense.
Yes, yes. He wrote it and directed it. It's called Office Christmas Party, Grinch and Rudolph. I got to get it right because it's such a long title. I should know it because I'm in it. Office Christmas Party, Grinch in Fight with Rudolph, Police Called. That's the name of the
It
show.
sounds like, kind of a like a over a PA announcement, like to
It was actually something he saw on the internet. It was an article that he saw verbatim. It was just that Office Christmas Party, Grinch and Fight with Rudolph, Police Called, and he saw that and he said that's a comedy. He didn't even read the article. There wasn't much material to the article, but it inspired him to create this whole universe about this thing, and it is. It's going up now. We opened last week. We play through December 22nd. It has all the signs of being sold out within weeks. It's really selling amazing. As you mentioned, Jeff wrote it. He directed it. It is a roller coaster ride beyond imagining. It's a Roadrunner cartoon on stage. It's really high concept and high energy. And audiences are just choking on laughter. It's just one of those great Christmas confections and I think one of the reasons it's selling so well is because, Jeff's plays always do pretty well at the Purple Rose. They always sell pretty well. But the fact that he also directed this, and also the fact that the Purple Rose in their 30 plus years of existence, I think they've done a handful of holiday themed shows. They haven't really done many.
Oh,
and I
really?
think that this is offering up a holiday offering that people are really sort of up for that. It's really a party atmosphere.
This will be something that can be reincarnated every year. Then it's one of those. If it goes well,
yeah, could. What's that?
Christmas Carol or Wonderful Life. Maybe this is something that they could do. Every year, every other year, or something.
Yeah. When you have something that works, and also it's hard to find. There's not a lot that's new under the sun when it comes to holiday shows. You mentioned Christmas Carol. There's Christmas Carol, incarnations and Nutcracker and all these different things that people people love them. But it's nice to have little sort of wrinkles and variations on that. And also kind of, this is sort of an irreverent look at the holidays, but it also has a nice message, and it's there ain't nothing subtle about it, but that's all by design.
It is in your face comedy. It is
very much so.
In your face comedy. So. You come out at 11 and you stay at 11. That's how it's done. And
exactly that.
And who do you play?
I play Jerry Cornicelli, who is an employee of the Middletown Fudge Factory. The whole thing takes place in Middletown, Michigan, at the Middletown Fudge Factory, and myself and my co-worker Lamar are at the holiday party, and I'm dressed like the Grinch and he's dressed like Rudolph. And we get into this fight over where to clap on Silent Night. And I know where to clap on Silent Night because I've been the choir director for First Presbyterian's, choir for 22 straight years. And I'm clapping on the 1 and the 3, and he insists you have to clap.
How is it supposed to be done?
It's funny. We never actually sing it in the show. We just argue about it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We just argue about it. But what ends up happening is we get into a fight and a little tussle, and someone records it with their cell phone, and it goes viral. So this little fight goes viral of the Grinch fighting Rudolph. And then we get an offer from bareknuckleboxing.com to do a paper where the Grinch fights Rudolph on Christmas Eve for $100,000. And is that going to save the Middletown Fudge Factory? And because they're struggling and they're not having their best. When the curtain comes up, it's not even like the train is already moving. The train is already off the rails. That's what I tell people. It's nuts. But
so funny.
So that sort of gives you an idea about the concept.
I might have to fly up there and see it. I love to see new works, and I'm going to be coming to New York. I might have to fly up there and see if I can sit somewhere, if I can get a seat, if it's an empty seat up there somewhere for a single seat. But anyway.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Good for you. So you're staying in the little coach house in the apartment by the train tracks, I believe.
Yes, right by the train, yeah.
Yes, and you're not far from your home, so your commute is a couple hours by car, right, or by train?
It's about 4 hours to get back to Chicago, so it works out really well. It's sort of like being on tour, but not, because the show will happen. I'll do the week, and then the matinee is over on Sunday. I drive back to Chicago Sunday night. I spend some time at home, and then on Wednesday morning, I get up early, and I'm here for the matinees. So it works out well.
Okay, well, that's good. I always get nervous if I'm trying to travel on the day of a show, with weather and everything up in that Michigan area. I always get nervous.
Oh, yeah. No, you really have to figure it in. There's been times I've come back on Tuesday to avoid, potential craziness and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so you have other plays that are listed here, and I want to talk about one in particular, and if there are others that are listed here, like Cheese Louise, Last Call at the Aardvark, but there's one in particular, a solo called Straight Up with a Twist. Straight Up with a Twist, and you enjoyed 9 years of touring it. Can you tell us about what that's about? And you toured it in the U.S. and you did twice Off-Broadway run. Let us know what that was, what happened.
It's funny. It was originally called Renaissance Geek. I wrote it in 1999, and it was all based on one comment that my wife said. She said, Paul, I'm so lucky to have found you. You're like this gay friend I can have. But it was sort of like, it predates the whole metrosexual thing. It was sort of like, a straight guy who's fastidious, or, it's trafficking in stereotypes. It's basically like the assumptions that are made about, gay men, that they might know more about this or more about that. But once again, trafficking in stereotypes. Right. But it was funny because, the whole metrosexual thing happened. But I wrote this show called Renaissance Geek, and we planned to do it for about 6 weeks. And it took off so much that after the 6 weeks were up, we just kept moving to different venues in Los Angeles on Monday or Tuesday nights, doing dark night shows because it was so popular. And so because that was the case, we sort of took a step back and regrouped and I reworked it and put it up in a theater more formally and retitled it Straight Up with a Twist, because
Right.
Renaissance Geek sounded a little bit too much like, people were crazy about, Renaissance fairs,
Right.
so renamed it Straight Up with a Twist. And just went all over the country with it. 9 years, about 1,400 performances collectively, over 1,000, somewhere between 1,000, 1,100 and 14. And then was off Broadway at the Players Theater on McDougal Street for a twice extended run. Yeah.
Wow, I love that area, and I love McDougal Street. How long were you there? You did it twice?
Well, it was supposed to be a abbreviated run. It was only supposed to be, I think, 6 weeks there. Very expensive to produce in New York, but we extended it twice. So
Did
I
you
think
self-produce?
6 weeks. 6 weeks, but no, there was a production company that stepped forward, and a great company out of LA called Millrock. People that I worked with before, and great friends of mine, and they sort of took it on. They had just produced John Cleese's one-person tour.
Oh,
They'd done a number of productions. They were also quite well known for set design and things like that. They designed the set for Barbra Streisand's tour. They designed sets for Neil Diamond's tour, and I think they did Skinnerd and Lynyrd Skynyrd and a bunch of other groups. But then they got into production. They did a I Love Lucy live, the national tour. David George and Hyra George, who were friends of mine from way back in college, also who knew Len. They were big fans of Straight Up, and they sort of took it on and saw it to its next level. Great people, really wonderful creative souls.
wow, well, not bad people to know at all. No, I don't believe you said where you guys went to college.
Oh, State University in New York in New Paltz, SUNY New Paltz, just up past Poughkeepsie up there. And it's funny because, some people say, it's upstate New York, miles north of Buffalo is upstate New York.
Rochester,
Ithaca,
right? Albany,
Rochester,
right? Albany, Rochester, right? So, well, that's really, really wonderful. And I know you. Are there any other plays that you would like to talk about, like Cheese Louise or?
Well, what's really exciting is that at the Purple Rose, next April, at the same time that I'll be directing Jukebox at the Farmers Alley Theater in Kalamazoo, Purple Rose will be producing my next play called My Mother and the Michigan-Ohio War. And that will be happening in April of 2025. So that's very exciting that they took on another one of my plays, and they feel strongly enough about my work to excited about that.
That's in Kalamazoo, not at Purple Rose?
No. The next production of Jukebox is at Kalamazoo, but My Mother and the Michigan-Ohio War will be at the Purple Rose in April. Yeah.
Now, but you're going to be directing.
Yeah. So I've just written this one. So, but it's a lovely situation to be in, to have two shows happening 15 minutes apart.
Oh my!
And also at the same time, there's another production of Jukebox for the Algonquin, which will be happening at the same time at Citadel Theater in Lake Forest, Illinois, just about 20 minutes north of Chicago. There's a theater there that took on. That is doing a production of Jukebox for the Algonquin. So it's beyond anything I could have hoped for, to have three productions at the same time. And then for the next month, because there's a theater in Stamford, Connecticut, Curtain Call Theater, that's also doing Jukebox at the same time. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it takes place in a nursing home. It's one set. It's easily produced. And it works well with community theaters, or you could use equity actors. I tried to get my friend at Swift Creek Mill Playhouse to get involved with this, and to get into contact with you, because I thought I worked there so much that I thought it would work, and directed there and acted there, that it would be great piece for them to do. So I'm still working behind the scenes to try to get them to do it, because I think it would really
Look, Dawn, I'll send you the check already. All right. You don't have to be so heavy handed. You're subtle like a freight train. You know that? I'll give you the money already. Jesus.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I can't go to the Stop and Shop. I can't. But I am trying. I'm working behind the scenes for you there. Just know that I am. But anyway, so yeah, just know that I'm trying to tout it for you here.
I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful.
But you're pounding these things. I don't know when you have time to do all this. But let's talk about your acting.
Sure.
And I knew when I saw you on stage, I thought, oh my God, this guy's done some TV. I thought for sure I'd seen you on listed, but you were on Chicago PD, Empire. You were in Malcolm in the Middle, Brothers Keeper, some other things as well.
Also, the mob thing, you probably saw me. There was a syndicated series of The Untouchables, and I had a couple of episodes on that. I played a gun runner to the Capone family, so that was sort of my mob connection there.
You look like a mob guy. I mean, you absolutely look like. I mean, you do. It's that Italian connection. I mean, you totally buy it. You know, you just buy it, or like a guy that's just gotten out of jail, like in your character in Algonquin. I was like, you totally look like that. So, tell me about Under Milkwood. Tell me about being.
Oh, the Under Milkwood was this incredible production that took place in Chicago. Um, I'm a huge Dylan Thomas fan, and there was a brilliant director who's sadly no longer with us, named Michael Bartow. And I wasn't in the original production of Under Milkwood. A number of my friends were, a lot of very, very talented Chicago actors. Kevin Tice, who also went to college with Len and myself. Sarah Nichols, another brilliant Chicago actor.
Yeah.
And they did this production of Under Milkwood in the basement of Cafe Voltaire, this tiny little coffee shop right on Clark Street. And it was such a hit, and it became such the thing to see, that they moved it to a larger theater. And I don't know if you've ever seen Under Milkwood, but it's like an evening in a Welsh fishing village, and it's a living poem. It's some of Dylan Thomas's greatest work, and I love Dylan Thomas so much that I went into the audition, and they said, what do you have for us? And I said, what do you want? I said, I got about 15 Dylan Thomas poems in my back pocket. I have Fern Hill, I have Do Not Go Gentle, I have all this. I mean, it's musical to me. And they picked a couple, and I recited them, and that was my audition for the.
I think that's being pretty prepared. If you and you're an actor, there's nothing better than an actor that comes in and goes, "Well, I got 50 pieces. You pick which ones you want." I mean,
what do you want? What do you want?
What do you want?
I tell you, and that's not me being especially prepared. I think that's more about my utter infatuation with Dylan Thomas's work.
And your love for the word. The written word.
The words, just liquid words. His words are just like velvet. It's so musical. It's so mellifluous, the way they flow together. And there's a reason Bob Dylan named Bobby Zimmerman, which was Bob Dylan's original name. He became Bob Dylan because of the musical quality of Bob Dylan's work. But
I guess
anyway,
I wonder if they talk about that in the new Timothy Chalamet movie. Bob Dylan.
I don't know, but I'm dying to see that. Boy, that looks great for that. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see. When you watch it and I watch it, we'll have to go, yep, they mentioned it. The Dylan thing. Yeah. You were in, I can definitely see you in God of Carnage and Doll's House Part 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was that production?
Once again, Doll's House Part 2, again, with that great theater in Kalamazoo, Farmers Alley. They did a production of Doll's House Part 2, and God of Carnage I did at Purple Rose, but the Doll's House Part 2, boy, what a meatball role, and a brilliant actor who played Nora in that, Elizabeth Terrell, who will actually be playing Annie, the role that Edith played in the Miners Alley production. She'll be playing Annie in the Farmers Alley production of Julia.
There's some great roles in there, just some great roles. Well,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. So that was Elizabeth Terrell. So she was in
Yeah.
that with you. I don't know if I
Hmm.
necessarily love the play as a mother. I had a hard time when I read it. I went, I don't know if I really like her. I
Oh,
did.
Doll's House Part Two?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think you're supposed to like Nora at all.
Yeah.
I think that part of the appeal of the play, I think what's really funny is that Lucas Nath, who wrote it, it all originated in a challenge. Sort of, he was with friends at a restaurant, and they were just sort of like, "Well, what would be the hardest sequel to write?" It's like Doll's House Part Two, because Nora leaves, Torvald, and then
Right.
and so that they took it on as challenge. And I think that's the beauty of the play, is that you have a protagonist who's not a protagonist. You have a protagonist who just sort of left,
Right.
and it comes home to find all of the fallout of her choice. The great thing about A Doll's House Part Two is very similar to God of Carnage, in that your allegiance change.
Yes.
You hate one person 1 minute, and then 15 minutes later you're like, well, no,
Right.
they got some
Okay.
valid points.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I love it
yeah,
when it's kind of more of a ping pong effect. You go, oh, okay, well now I'm on their side, and oh no, no, I'm on
exactly,
this side. There is no real true
exactly.
villain. You have to kind of
Right,
decide with just one the entire time. Um,
right.
that's fantastic. Okay, so you leave on December 22nd. You leave Michigan,
Hmm.
and then you're going to go home.
I'll go home for a little bit, and then we go into rehearsal for Jukebox. I think in either the end of February or the beginning of March. I don't have it in front of me. And then once again, while that's happening, they'll be doing Michigan Ohio War at Purple Rose. So the nice thing is, I may be able to hop back and forth. It's only an hour and 15 minutes apart, so I may be able to sit in on a couple of rehearsals of Michigan Ohio while Jukebox is happening
Great.
in Kalamazoo. But it's just such a I feel so blessed and so lucky, and such a embarrassment of riches to have all of these irons in the fire at the same time. When you've been in the trenches as long as I have, I'm 60 this year, and
Happy birthday.
you know, to have all of this wonderful creative stuff happening, it's really, it's just a blessing, and I never lose track of being grateful for it, and thankful for not only all of the joy of having your work presented, but the people that you present it with, the creative teams at these different venues,
Right.
the artistic, not only the actors, but the designers and the front of house people and the administration people. I've been very, very lucky
Yeah.
in the people that have sort of written their way into. I don't know who said it, but someone said something I really adopted, which was, our lives are like movies, and people, they increase the size of their role in our own story by what they do or what they share or
That's
how
true.
important they become to us. And I've
Yes.
been very lucky to have so many fun, joyous, giving, generous people in my movie, and I never lose track of that.
That's fantastic. Do you have kids?
Nope. Monica and I decided we weren't going to go that route because we have
Sure.
20 nieces and nephews. So,
Are an Italian family.
so
You're not.
no, I'm Italian. She's Austro-Hungarian, but she has a big family, and I have a smaller family. But we're perfectly happy being the cool aunt and uncle. You
Yeah.
know.
I didn't set out thinking I needed to have children, but we had my one daughter who's a senior here at CU and she graduates in May. But
Oh, what's her name?
her name is Sydney. Yeah,
Oh,
she's
awesome.
beautiful. She's tall, like 5'8", skinny, looks like a gazelle. She's a dancer, just like a model. It's crazy. I don't know where she gets it
Hmm,
from, but his side of the family is very Nordic looking, and that's where she gets it from. So yeah,
very
like that.
Nordic.
Because I'm stumpy. I'm 5'3". What do you do? All right. So I think it's time for some rapid fire questions. Okay, I want to make sure that I'm going to go through my little notes that I've asked you, everything I want to ask you. Okay, good. We're perfect on time. So these can be one word, or you can expand on it if you like. Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to answer the actor questions or the director questions, or would you like me to go back and forth in ping pong?
Do ping pong. Let's keep it exciting.
Oh, good. All right. Well, let me pour a little bit more of this lovely, lovely Boulder Star. It is really yummy. I'm going to have to buy myself a bottle of this for Thanksgiving. It would also go really well with my chili at Halloween. Chili and my cornbread. Okay. Are you ready?
All right.
Actor.
Oh, film or theater?
Both. Do both.
Oh, okay. Film director, I still have to go with the classic. I have to go with Scorsese. I don't think there's anyone who does it as good as he does. There's such a variety to his work. I just think he's a genius. Stage director, wow. It's weird because just coming off the heels of being directed by Jeff Daniels for 6 weeks, I would have to lean that way just because of being in the room with him for this long. It was sort of a master class in a lot of things, acting, comedy, and direction. So he's certainly a favorite right now. So I'll leave it at that.
That's cool. Yeah, he has a tendency to be able to take the nastiest characters and still find humor. I don't know how he does it. Like I said, I'm watching Godless, and I'm going, how is he being funny right now? How is he
Oh yes, so dark. It's so
hold
dark.
this
Yeah.
in and yet still be making me kind of go, oh my God, he's making me laugh. Okay. If you could pick an actor that no matter what you would work on over and over and over again, you would want to work with them.
I would have to say Gary Oldman. I think Gary Oldman is just one of the greats. He's different in everything. You'd never see him working. His process is seamless. I would be honored to work with him. I think he's just a real genius.
Yeah, I did work with him actually once. I did The Contender, and he was
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges, and yeah, he was in that. He was great. And and his son was like a little mini me. It was hysterical running around the set. Anyway, what, as a director, favorite stage setup? Proscenium, alley, three-quarter thrust?
Oh, for me, it's always three
Me too.
because you have the option of proscenium, so you could put a decent setup. You could have a nice set as a backdrop to it. But with the thrust, the three quarter, the audience is far more in the room.
Absolutely.
It's interactive. It presents some yeah. But I love the thrust stages. I think it's far more intimate. And the other thing too is that so many prosceniums, like I don't mind the standard proscenium if the stage is lower than the audience. Like if
Yeah,
the audience banks back from it.
that's more
But a
like,
lot of the Broadway houses with the elevated stages and the audience out there, it's there's only one way to see a play that way. There's
right.
separation. You don't feel the intimacy. Yeah.
Yeah, unless you're working on Lion King and they kind of came right in through there,
Right.
Um,
Right.
in one word, intimacy directors, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
I but that's a very loaded, lengthy conversation.
Uh-huh.
But for the world that we live in right now, and for where the pendulum has to go because of things that have been neglected in the past,
Yes.
and people that have been victimized or made to feel a certain way, I think it's essential at this stage of the process.
I'm going to expand on that. Do you think that the director should be in the room while the intimacy director is working?
I think the director should always be in the room because the director is steering the ship. And at the end of the day, an intimacy director, even though they have a definite task and are there to protect the actors,
Yes.
a good director will be concerned about that as well.
Absolutely.
So I think that it can only help to be in the room. If there's a situation where you have an intimacy director and the director is not allowed to be in the room, that raised me, because that means that it's not a comfortable. I think that.
Yeah, I have a friend who said, "Oh, the director can't be in the room," and I'm like, "Well, hell no, not if I have to have an intimacy director. When I use a music director and I'm doing a musical directing, I'm sitting there writing notes or doing choreography. I'm sitting there with the choreographer. Choreography's going on, music. I'm sitting there with my notebook, checking blocking, listening. Doing that. If you're doing on a stage combat, I'm still sitting there listening, and they might want to
just like. An intimacy director has a task just like all those other people. A choreographer.
That's how I see it.
Right. And if they're to separate that, to isolate that and make it a different task that has to be private. I mean, I'm not talking about the comfort of the actors or the privacy of the actors or the personal space of the actors. That's obviously something that they're there to protect. But at the end of the day, it's still all artificial. At the end of the day, we are living, what's the definition of acting? Living truthfully under imaginary circumstances,
Yes.
So that's what we're doing. So, it's the director. I mean, that's me, but I think the director has to be in the room. They're the ones steering the ship,
Right. I'm going to use, I always have a title for my podcast, and I'm going to use that as yours. Living Truthfully Under Imaginary Circumstances, if that's okay with you, because I love that.
Oh, I wish it were my quote, but yeah.
I know what your quote, but I'm still going to use it because I liked it. Okay. Mentor? Did you have a mentor? Yes or no?
Oh, did I have a mentor? I have a mentor that is a non-theatrical guy. I have a mentor that is just one of my favorite humans, and he's one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. He's a Bronx guy, born and raised. He gave me my first job working in restaurants when I was 16 years old in Connecticut, and he's Frank Borchetta, Frankie Borchetta, and
A great
he's
name.
one of my favorite people. And he's always been sort of a mentor to me, not necessarily in terms of like an artistic guide or something, but the level of support and encouragement and love that I get from this man in my travels. And, we're still friends. He flies all over the country to see whatever I'm in. And when you have someone like that in your corner, when you're 16 years old washing dishes in a restaurant and he says to you, you know what, as soon as you turn 18, we got to get you out there on the floor or behind the bar because you got the gift of gab. You're kind, people are going to like you. You take that with you as a kid.
They see your potential and they for second best. I see your potential. When someone sees your potential and there's nothing better than that because you feel
and we don't
like you got
we don't have
on a string on a downhill pole,
Yeah, and when you're a geeky kid in Connecticut and you're sort of a class clown because you're a little bullied or whatever, or you don't really have as many friends as you'd like to have, so you do plays and you do all that to sort of find your bliss. When you have someone who makes you feel at that age funny and smart and having something to say,
right?
That's invaluable at that stage of life. That's invaluable at that stage of life. That's what that's why when I talk to a lot of students at colleges and stuff, and when I do, I always push them toward defining themselves. A lot of them are actors and they're just like, well, I want to be, what do we do to this, be an actor and act this and act that. And I always say the same thing, don't define yourself as an actor, define yourself as a creative person. Just find, because most of the stuff that is happening to me now is not because I'm a halfway decent actor. It's because I never I never said no to something that frightened me creatively. If a creative thing came along that I'd never done before, I was like, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it. And it's people like Frankie Borchetta that give you that sort of strength in yourself. And of course, the incredible family support I had with my mom and my siblings and all the people that were supporting me in that regard. So, I was very lucky. Very
How many
lucky.
siblings do you have?
I have two. I have an older brother and a younger sister. My older brother, John, and my younger sister, Carrie. John actually,
Yeah, we heard about her earlier.
yeah, John got me the job at Salem Hills Health Related Facility, the nursing home that I worked at when I was a teenager. That became the inspiration for
Algonquin.
writing
Okay.
Jukebox. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, here's some acting questions.
Hmm.
Do you have a pre-show ritual?
Do I have a pre-show? Yes, I do. I juggle. I'm an avid juggler, and I have juggling clubs and juggling balls. And before every show, I juggle like crazy because it's very zen. It focuses you tremendously, and it really clears my head. So, we all do. They're very serious about that at Purple Rose. They do a lot. You're called an hour before. There's vocal warm-ups. There's physical
Oh,
warm-ups. There's
great.
stretching. There's yoga. There's all this stuff that we do. And a lot of times, people are on the floors with the stretch bands and doing all this, and I'm off in the corner just juggling clubs. And they're very tolerant of all the stuff I drop. With the
Or breaking.
I steer clear of that. Is definitely my pre-show. Like 15 minutes of juggling before every show. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Favorite thing to eat before a show? What's your go-to?
I don't like to because I get I'm a very nervous performer, and
Me too.
I sort of get past that by being tremendously prepared. So
Yes.
usually I'll eat very, very light in the afternoon, like a salad, and then I'll have just like something like a Cliff Bar or something before I go on stage, just to have something in my stomach. And then, of course, it's not especially healthy, but I eat voraciously after the show's over.
Pretty much all actors do that. They all go to a bar. They all go to, let's go eat, and then we drink, right? We're vampires. So that's my next question. Favorite thing to eat or drink after a show?
Oh, geez. Well, that's a hard question now because food doesn't matter as much to me as it used to.
I know.
So it used to be just, actually one of the things my wife and I really dug, which is like the culinary equivalent of crack, but we loved late night Popeyes fried chicken.
Ooh.
Popeyes fried chicken, which is just like, we should have a Lipitor dipping sauce, I think, because it's
triglycerides, my LDL,
exactly,
my HDL,
right? Oh man, for late night, just munchy food, you can't do better or worse depending on how you look at it. Than Popeyes fried chicken.
I agree. When I did shows and I was like living, in the house, whatever, I would always get white bread. Don't judge me. You can take the girl out of Sandston, but you can't take the Sandston out of the girl. White bread, bologna, Oscar Mayer, bologna, and American cheese and Miracle Whip and potato chips.
Oh, yeah.
Every show I would go home and I would have that. No lettuce, just that potato chips and a Coke. Because I would have danced.
Did you like did you like fried bologna? Do you ever have fried bologna?
Oh God, yes. We would cut it into 4 little pieces on the edges so it kind of bubble up a little bit. Oh yeah. I did that with Spam too, but we won't talk about that right now. Okay. Favorite actor, actress as an actor. Do you have a favorite actor or actress? I think I asked you that.
Favorite actor. One of my favorite actresses always, just because I find her so captivating on screen because she has such an unusual, quirky look that is so intoxicating to me, has always been Ellen Barkin. I love Ellen Barkin. I think she's incredibly skilled and just I always loved what she brought to a role. Really appreciated that. And once again, going back to going back to Gary Oldman, but also an actor that I really love and is very underappreciated, I think, aside from one show, Ian McShane from Deadwood. I don't know if you remember Deadwood on HBO.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He is just one of those for a proper actor, for a stage actor, to go to play that role, such a rich, a theatrical role in the intimacy of a television show, which is basically like a movie every week.
Sure.
It was so intimate, and so, but he always astounded me. I just really think that he's really one of the greats.
That's great. Method, yes or no?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you ever had to kiss someone with bad breath?
No, I've been real lucky. I haven't done a lot of kissing on stage, but those wonderful women that I happened to were it was very lovely.
They were Altoid. They were Altoid ladies. I was always an Altoid lady with cold water backstage.
And the thing is now it doesn't matter. Now they could have like garlic marijuana breath and it wouldn't matter because I can't smell or taste anything. So
they said, I had bad breath today. I don't know. I can't smell or taste it. Don't worry about it. Have at it. Most embarrassing moment on stage. And I'll ask you one more question after that.
Okay. I was 14 years old. I was doing magic shows for kids' parties. When I was a kid, I did that. My uncle, or not my uncle, a friend of the family, I called him my uncle, but Art Mormile, friend of the family. He was a professional magician and did corporate gigs and all this. And he gave me all of his old tricks.
Oh,
so I got these like stage quality tricks. So I did a blue and gold dinner for the Cub Scouts. And, so these banquets that they would have for Cub Scouts.
Yeah.
And what you do as a kid, or as a magician, when you're performing for kids, the first thing you do is you get a volunteer from the audience that is an adult that they respect.
Yes.
And if you treat that person well, then you win the audience over and you have their affection and their respect.
Right.
So I had never met Scoutmaster Knapp, the Scoutmaster. I had only talked to him on the phone.
Okay.
So when it came, I had this little trick that I would start the show with, which is little finger guillotine, where you would put your finger in and you'd put the guillotine through, and of course your finger would be okay, and that was the whole thing. So I come up on stage and I'm like, okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off someone's finger. Let's start with Scoutmaster Knapp, ladies and gentlemen. Scoutmaster, silence, crickets. He comes up on stage. He's got 3 fingers missing from his right hand. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I had no idea. I never met the man. Let's cut off someone's finger. Let's start with Scoutmaster Knapp. Like, I don't think that's funny.
That's 2 on one hand. What did you do?
Yeah. Well, at first I shrieked when he came up and extended his hand to me because I was that much of a pro at 14. But he was so cool about it, Dawn. He knew that I didn't know. No one in the audience knew. They all thought I was making a bad joke. They didn't know that I didn't know him, but he knew that we have never met. So he comes up on stage and holds up his hand. He goes, "We're not doing this trick again, are we?"
Oh, that's perfect. We're not doing this one again. Did he give you the other hand?
Cool about it.
Did he give you the other hand?
Yes, he did. But mortified, just when you're 14, 15 years old and there's like 200 people in the room, mortified.
Oh my God. A noise you hate.
Oh, easy answer. Honking car horns.
And you're from New York.
When Monica and I lived in LA, we lived right near a school, right behind Paramount Studios, actually, right across from Paramount Studios. And it was a school directly across the street. And every single day at 2:30, every parent would come, park right in front of our house, and honk their horn for their kids to come out. And they would honk and honk and honk and honk. And then they would get out of the car and walk 8 feet to the fence and call their kids. So it was, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of car honks every day from 2:30 to 3:30. And you really want to just you just want to jump off something high after that. It just stuck with me.
A word that you hate.
Oh, a word that I hate.
Yep.
Finished.
Okay.
Finished.
That's good.
I'm finished.
Yeah.
It's
Playwright.
finished.
The end. The end.
Yeah.
If someone were to ask you, this is the last one, if someone were to ask you right now why you were in the industry, what would you tell them and why?
Because I'm too lazy to work and I'm too frightened to steal.
Good answer. Good answer. And my last question then that comes to this, and then I'll talk about the wine one more time, is if you were not the multi-hyphenate person that you are, said Candace Joyce in episode 2, that you can do so many wonderful things so well. What do you think you would be doing? Did you have an idea? Well, you might be a magician, cutting off people's fingers. What would you be doing, do you think?
I actually am lucky because I'm sort of doing it. My friends, Eric Zudak and Cirrus Miracore and myself have started this company 2 years ago. We're in our second year now, called Tolokin Research Innovations. And we do clinical trial. We write, among other things, but we write, produce, and license clinical trial training videos for diseases in the autoimmune dermatology realm.
Oh, okay.
And it's incredibly enriching because with some of these really unspoken things that people suffer from, that they're just suffering so severely in silence with a lot of these disorders that they have. It really feels good to be part of helping, doing these clinical trial training and finding new medications and all this. So it really is I really like doing it, and I'm happy that it's successful and it's helping people. And so I think that if I didn't have this whole, be so lucky with the whole creative aspect of things, I would really go even
Video
because I really
production,
feel like
video production.
well, video production, but also the writing and the directing of having physicians talk about their processes and new protocols and new medications,
Sure.
and all these different things that help people. It's a real niche sort of market, but it's going well, and we're helping people, and it feels good to be part of that.
That's great. Yeah, I'm a medical interpreter for the deaf, and I basically went to a little mini med school. My husband's an anesthesiologist, and it does feel good when you feel like you can, use your skill to help. So your training videos are really for doctors talking to doctors. It's not training,
or clinicians or doctors sharing, with clinicians how to it's an unfortunate topic, but how to count lesions, or how to evaluate skin disorders, or how to judge alopecia or vitiligo, or percentages of the body that are affected by that. Some of the subject matter is pretty rough, and some of it's difficult to look at a lot of the time, but it feels good to help people, and it really is it means a lot to me. I'm glad that we're helping people.
Well, that's fantastic. My husband's not a dermatologist, and he always says, we in med school, we had one saying: if it's a wet type of wound, keep it dry. If it's a dry kind of wound, you want to keep it moist. You know what I mean? Egg or something, keep it moist. If it's a cracked heel, put moisture on it, Vaseline on it. If it's moist, you do not want moisture on it. So keep it dry, air it out, So that's it. That's their only little, he said, that's all I know about dermatology. That's it. That's my extent. So that's pretty funny. But anyway, well, this has been absolutely wonderful. And did you pick?
Oh, Dawn, what a joy.
It's been absolutely wonderful. And I'm going to be taking another sip of my wine. Did you pick one that you wanted, Book Cliff, to send to you?
I did. I was looking through the website, and given my sort of olfactory, looking at that the Tectonic Red looks like it's right
It's
up
a
her
winner.
alley. So
It's a huge winner. Ensemble is a good one. Their Syrah is award winning, but the Tectonic Red, I had it actually in the tasting room last week. So I will get them to Bookcliff Vineyards to ship that off to you. You will get it in the mail, hopefully in the next week. I have 3 podcast interviews to edit over the weekend, and they're in the can, so I got to edit. You know how long that takes, but hopefully I can get you on, fairly soon. And I cannot thank you enough for giving me your time. Just
oh, Dawn, it was a
know
joy.
me at all. I'm a groupie. I'm a fan, and I just really appreciate your work. And I have the Martha Hill Newell Playwrights Fund, so I have an affinity for playwrights and the work you put out there. That you are the basis for the theater to be able to continue. Playwrights,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Well, at the end of the day, it's like, and I really hope that more, younger people really take the mantle of that, because we need younger. I mean, I'm so grateful for the audiences we do have, but we need to get younger people into the theater, and we need to get people who are younger, who have very fertile stories to tell,
Right.
to write, and don't just necessarily write for the web or write blogs or whatever. Tell your story, and let's keep live theater thriving with younger audiences that are there for your stories.
I don't know if you've looked at my website, but you need to look at the Martha Hill Newell Playwrights Fund. She was my friend who passed away, and I started a foundation that we award one playwright a year. So take a
Okay.
look at the Martha Hill Newell Playwrights Fund.
I will. I have a number of playwrights in my mind that I will ask to submit, because I'm lucky enough to know some really skilled people. So I will.
I'm looking at one right now. So
That's
yeah.
nice of you to say.
Yeah, take a look at it. And guys, if you're listening and you live in Colorado, again, I'll just say one more time, head over to Hazel's or to any of the liquor stores and pick yourself a bottle of Bookcliff Vineyards wine. If you want to go to the tasting room and taste it first, do that. It's a great way to kind of get familiar with their wines. Or if you don't live in the beautiful state of Colorado, go to www.bookcliffvineyards.com. Visit their website. Beautiful pictures of their vineyard in the Palisades, Colorado. And I cannot thank our guest enough. You are brilliant, and good luck with the run with Jeff Daniels.
Thank you.
Purple Rose. And I look forward to seeing more of your work. And I'm going to keep working on Swift Creek Mill to try to get Jukebox for an Algonquin in Virginia.
Well, thank you so much, Donna. It was a real pleasure talking to you. Boy, this hour just flew by, so that's a good sign.
It did. Great. Well, thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Well, I think that about does it for this week's podcast. I can't thank you enough for listening. Remember, you can always find this episode and others on Facebook under ACT and any of the other podcast platforms. Or visit my website at dawnwestbrook.com, where you'll find the links from previous seasons and episodes. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and other entertainment enthusiasts. If you have questions or suggestions, I'm as close as an email. I welcome your ideas. And remember, follow ACT on Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter, under ActingPod. But for now, as W.C. Fields once said, a man's got to believe in something. So, my noble artist and my happy troop of theater trolls, I do believe I shall have another drink. May the footlights burn bright and your interactions, both on stage and off, be rewarding. Thanks for joining me. I'm Dawn Westbrook, your host, and this is ACT. This season's podcasts are being brought to you by the Martha Hill Newell Playwrights Fund and Bookcliff Vineyards, where their wines are always something worth sharing.